Gateway Gamers Podcast.
Hello, welcome to episode 1 of the Gateway Gamers Podcast. I'm Bryan.
And I'm RP.
And today we're getting together to talk about a game. So the format of this show will be a little bit of banter, get to know us, get to hear what we're doing, and then I will pull out a bag with a mystery game inside and introduce RP, and then we'll play, come back, and talk about it.
And as we said in episode 0, that I am new to the gaming world, so as we get going, there's going to be games that I'm just going to be pulling out willy-nilly on Bryan and surprising him with it. It's sometimes I'll know the game, sometimes I won't, and it adds a little fun element of surprise for me because you'll know what we're playing based on the episode title.
Yep, yeah, and they won't be able to change their name from Gateway Gamers to just Gamers.
Yeah.
So how are you? Episode 1. Here we are.
Yeah,
we
man.
Did it.
It's been a long time coming, I suppose. You've been putting in the work. Remember to check out the Instagram, the Gateway Gamers Pod. You've been grinding on that, getting us double the amount of followers that previously recorded has in a month's time.
And anything we talk about today will be on there. So we'll put the episode, and then we'll have pictures of the games we're talking about, so that way you have a reference. I know it's a weird medium to kind of be talking about board games, but...
Yeah, and be sure to, if there's things that, you like about the show or don't like or tweaks, it's in its...
infancy.
Infancy, that's what I was looking for, the word infancy.
Little baby.
So I'm sure there'll be tweaks along the way, and we'd like to hear from you guys.
Yeah,
so be sure.
We'll call this episode Season 1 of
Season
The Office.
1. Okay.
and give it till Season 2.5 to about 3 before we get it together.
Yeah, Season 1.
This is chubby, frumpy, slick-haired back Michael Scott.
Yeah, Season 2 will be looking good and clean and in rare form. Yeah. Not rare form, in perfect form.
Perfect form. Perfect.
So what's going on, man? Are you excited?
I am very excited. I've been doing a lot of work, a lot of preparation. Of course, my allergies are the worst.
You sound fine.
Yeah.
You sound fine.
The entire car ride here, I was hacking up everything.
You sound fine. And I know the work that goes into a podcast, so I definitely can appreciate and respect the work that you're doing. But you're hustling, man.
Yeah.
It's great. Seriously, check out the Instagram. He's been doing some beautiful pictures and good content. Good content for sure.
Yeah.
So
I mean, just to timestamp this. We're at the end of COVID, hopefully.
Hopefully, yeah.
Hopefully.
We're turning the bend, for sure.
Both vaccinated, able to get together.
Yeah. It's been, just like everybody, it's been tough, but, we've made it work and still trying to find. It's been a crazy year for me. Even in freaking COVID, I have bought a house and got engaged, and it's been wild and just crazy, and I'm ready for it to be over in that way that I can go see my friends and not feel guilty or worried about anything. And more podcasting too, in-person podcasting. The Zoom thing is it's not the same.
Yeah, and that's kind of where the idea for this podcast originated, because my original idea was called An Excuse to Get Away from My Wife, where it's just going to be literally, I'm just going to come over and quote-unquote record, and we're just going to hang out, and then evolved into this. So
yeah, I mean, I've always just enjoyed the idea of podcasting. For me, came about maybe 2 or 3 years ago, and I've just really enjoyed. It's basically having a normal conversation with my friends. I just put microphones in front of us, and that's the vibe we try to go for on Previously Recorded. It's the vibe we're going to go for here, and it's an excuse to play games.
Yeah, excuse to get my collection out of the closet.
Yeah, exactly.
And buy more games, which, sorry to my wife,
We
Megan.
are. I'm telling you, man, we are suckers for IP. We really are. I see a game that has the Jungle Cruise on it, and I am all about it.
I had to talk you down a couple times. So wait for it.
And there's a really popular game too, Marvel Unlimited.
Marvel United. We're going to talk about that.
Yeah,
that's going to be in our Kickstarter banter for sure.
Which I can cut this if you don't want that even teased.
You can leave it. Go ahead.
All right.
We don't cut nothing.
I guess let's get into it. Do you have anything else you want to?
No, I mean, that's it. I mean, like I said, this was kind of birth from an excuse to kind of get together after a year. I got married pretty much right before the pandemic and had a kid during the pandemic. So like I said, just the last year's been very weird. So it's nice to get together. We've gotten together a couple times. I don't want to act like we haven't seen each other, but
You know, mask on.
Yeah, masks on.
Windows open.
Windows open. We're double vaccinated now, so we're just raw dogging it. So yeah, I mean it's nice. It's nice to get together. It's nice to see people. It's nice to play games.
It's nice to get into the recording studio.
Yeah, the beautiful studio.
Yeah, you can describe it to the folks. I don't
describe it. We got Marvel. Just to give you an idea how much he loves IP, we have a giant shelf of Harry Potter Funkos with their dead black eyes staring at me. We have
there's books on there too. I do like to read.
There are Harry Potter books behind it of every language. We have all the Marvel posters up, which I appreciate.
Yeah.
We have a Flash blanket, the CW's Flash. We have a giant...
The only Flash.
We have a giant box of fruit stripe bubble gum, which anyone knows the flavor lasts for 10 seconds, so he needs to continually piece
I bought that for after... I was like, I loved Racing Stripes as a kid, and I bought that after watching Home Alone 2, and I was like, around Christmas time. So that's been sitting there for a while. I only went through 2 packs because of the 10 seconds. And I was like, I haven't had Racing Stripes in forever. And I was like, I need to buy this. And it was like $10 on Amazon.
Those Racing Stripes. They're called Fruit Stripes.
Oh, Fruit Stripes.
Fruit Stripes. I used to get them for Easter every year. That was like in my Easter basket.
They were great. It's better than...
It's literally 10 seconds of flavor.
So Audra used to get, in her Easter basket, cereal. That was the only time they got sugar cereal.
Okay. So just our producer, Audra,
yeah.
just to give her some background. She's Amish. For those of you unfamiliar, we are located right outside Philadelphia. I'm from Glen Mills.
I am born and raised in Philly and just recently moved out of Philly.
Yeah, so...
I'm very proud of the fact that I'm from Philly.
Yeah, I mean...
So if you hear an accent when I say water, or, you know, I don't know what else we say.
Payment, Acme,
the crick.
The crick is a big one. Crown instead of crayon.
Tap Mac is a big
John.
One. No, yeah, we'll never say John on this podcast.
I'm going to use John more now. So she is from the great land of Lancaster. So Lancaster, as she calls it,
she'll kill you.
Is just full of people that are completely backwards. You can cut the F word or beep it if you want. I'm trying not to curse, but that's the only way I can describe them. They are backwards folk. They're heavily religious. They have no technology.
They don't believe in any power that's not like man-made, I believe. So I think they may have like, or power that comes from the ground. It's something, because so they have, but then they also have sheds out back that have like TVs in them.
That's probably powered by water.
And they don't,
or hamsters on a wheel.
And they don't believe in banks, so they have all of their cash on them. So if you want to go rob them, and they don't believe in hospitals either. So but they were the first. Weird enough, they were the first group of people to achieve herd immunity with COVID.
Yeah, they probably love board games.
They probably do. They love churning butter too.
Yeah.
And Brian's beautiful wife is from
Jersey.
All right, that's enough.
Yeah, we don't need
we
that.
Don't need to talk about Jersey.
So the cereal in her Easter basket makes sense. Why? That was probably a treat, a nice Rice Krispie treat.
We met when she was on Rumspringa. And she broke from the Amish community. No, I'm just kidding. She is from Lancaster. She's not Amish, but that was they were pretty strict on sweets, so that was her one cereal where we will have bubble gum and chocolate. They had
grain
cereal. Yeah, they had grain. Seriously.
So if you hear us talk about producer Audra,
she'll
be popping up a lot.
She's telling us to wrap it up. To get to the segments. But that is the recording studio we're in. If you guys ever want to see a picture of it, we'll post it on the gram at some point. But it's
not that exciting.
It's not that exciting. No, I'm just very proud of my posters. But I guess we should get into it.
Introduce our game.
Let's introduce our game.
Introduce our
game.
A
little drum roll.
All right. Eventually, this will be sponsored, but this will be our bag opening. Just to get your live reaction.
Forbidden Island.
Forbidden Island.
Explain it to me.
All right, so Forbidden Island is a game by Matt Leacock, published by Gamewright. It came out in 2010. Plays 2 to 4 players, ages 10 plus. It is known as a co-op game. So a new term for us, co-op. It's basically we play together. We play the game. So you and I will be working together to solve basically the puzzle of this game. I like this game a lot. It comes in like a nice tin, which is odd for most of these games. It's also cheap. It's like $20. So that's part of the reason I got it.
So it's funny because we were just talking about how we are so IP driven, and the first game is an IP.
An IP. Yeah. So there are a lot of IP driven gateway games, but this is one of the better like gateway games, I would say. I was gonna bring
Explain gateway to
Oh, okay.
people
So
that because when you said gateway gamers to me, I was just like, oh, okay, we're gonna like open the door. Like I guess like
yeah,
a gateway to, but it's like open
that's a
a
good point.
forbidden
So a
door.
gateway game is known as like a game that you would introduce to non-gamers. So it's like a
AKA
gateway
me.
drug. Yeah. So it's like a gateway drug. Like what is
You know,
cigarettes lead to marijuana apparently, and
whatever.
then lead to heroin, and then you die. So a gateway game is like, I'll start with some names like Ticket to Ride, Catan, like games that aren't Monopoly. Because I'm
Flux.
sure.
Is Flux one?
I guess Flux could be, yeah.
Okay.
I know you are very partial to Flux. It's one of the 3 games that you've played at this point.
Yeah, it's the Marvel IP, man.
Yeah.
Gets me.
Well, there's many Fluxes that aren't Marvel. So like games like that. So if I were to go up to somebody and be like, hey, like, what do you do for fun? They ask me, like, what do you do for fun? I say, I enjoy games. Automatically, they're like, oh, like Monopoly,
yeah.
and oh, like Scrabble, like so. These are the type of games that you would bring to them. Be like, no, like I play Catan, I play Ticket to Ride, I play Forbidden Island, and maybe most likely they heard of Catan. Catan and Ticket to Ride, I feel like are the 2 biggest. They're like the mom and dad of gateway games. They're the easiest, the most accessible, and they look different. I know, like a lot of these games, Catan especially is featured in a lot of pop culture, so I'm sure people have heard of them.
For the record, we're never going to play Monopoly on this podcast. We're never going to play.
We could. There are different versions of Monopoly.
I have a Harry Potter Clue that I threw out because I think that is so different that we might play that one.
Yeah, but there are like different variants of Monopoly.
But we're
not playing
focus.
base game. Collect $200 Monopoly. But a lot of the games we play will be accessible for you as the audience, especially in the beginning. My collection is mostly games you can get at Target, games you get at Barnes & Noble. Not too many friendly local game shop games yet. So that's kind of it. That's a gateway game. So this is one of the best gateway games, I would say. I introduced this game to a lot of people, and they bought it afterwards because it is so cheap. Like, it's very accessible. It's cheap. It's quick to play.
I will say, speaking of money, like looking on Amazon to buy games and stuff, it's definitely a deterrent because I am not as invested in games as you are, and there's a couple games like the Jungle Cruise game, $35. To me, it's funny. I'm sure as we go through, I'll start thinking that's nothing, but I'm like, God, do I really want to spend that on a game? And I'm not right now as we do this podcast. I'm not a solo gamer, so I'm not gonna pay that for a game to just sit in my shelf. So price point is definitely, I think, for gateway gamers, definitely for people who are just looking to get into
joining
games,
the hobby.
Is definitely an important function of the game.
Yep. So I'll read you the flavor text of what Forbidden Island is, and then we'll go play,
and then we'll come back.
We'll give the rules in between. We'll give like a little stinger of kind of the rules, just the basics of the game, and then we'll also talk about the rules and mechanics in our talk along as I get your idea. Just from looking at the box, what are you thinking here? Like, what's your
Forbidden Island to me? Looking just at the box, so it has like a lighthouse. It looks kind of like a lighthouse with like a very like Pirates of the Caribbean font. So to me, it kind of looks like this is a game. This might be a game where you have to survive.
There you go. That's pretty much it. Yeah. So
okay.
So dare to discover Forbidden Island.
Yeah, it says the quote
tag.
The tag is adventure if you dare.
Yeah. So this is the little back of the box with little flavor text. Dare to discover Forbidden Island. Join a team of fearless adventurers on a do-or-die mission to capture 4 sacred treasures from the ruins of this perilous paradise. Your team will have to work together and make some pulse-pounding maneuvers as the island will sink beneath every step. Race to collect the treasure and make a triumphant escape before you are swallowed into the watery abyss.
Nice. And what is the age recommendation on this game?
10 plus. I played it younger. When I discovered this game, I was working at an after-school program, so I was looking for games to play that weren't Monopoly and weren't like the usual. And that's actually how I discovered gaming, was through podcasts of different, like I think Will Wheaton had a giant board game
Somebody I haven't heard of in forever.
Yeah, he had a giant board game like gaming session where he had like celebrities on and
Okay.
like so that's kind of how actually him and the Dice Tower with Tom Vassell were kind of how I discovered these games because like you said in episode 0, it's another world. Like it's
Yeah.
literally
Yep.
walking through the train stop of Harry Potter.
It's literally walking
Yeah.
through the gateway.
Yeah. Oh, cut
So
the end.
cut the check. The way I always pictured gateway is just like it's just for the board game world. It's this door that is just glowing around the edges, like a door in Kingdom Hearts. This
And
is
then
how I.
Dice just falling through.
Yeah. So we're gonna go play this game.
Yep.
It's gonna take about 30 minutes.
Yep. 30 minutes.
Say. So
Could be
listen
less.
to 30 minutes of interlude music.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
All right. See you in a bit.
See you in a bit.
Hey, this is Brian, your host. Just jumping in to explain the rules while we're downstairs playing. In Forbidden Island, you play a group of 2 to 4 explorers, cooperatively running on the island trying to collect treasure before the island sinks into the sea. The game board consists of 24 reversible tiles, which form the island on a table. When these start to flood, you flip them over, and then when they fully flood, they get removed from the board. Over time, the island falls apart and some tiles can become hard to get to, or even entirely cut off. You'll have to make sure you keep passages open to the 8 shrines, which are the only way to get the treasures. There are 4 treasures to collect, each has 2 shrines that you can collect them from. And as you need to collect all 4 before you can escape the island, priorities of which lands to protect change as the game goes on. The island flooding is determined by a deck of cards, which you draw from at the end of each turn. Over time, you'll be reshuffling cards you drew back on top of the deck, so when the land starts to sink, it becomes increasingly likely to sink again. The flooding will also speed up over time, so you can't afford to waste any time. Relics are found by collecting cards that you drew at the end of each turn. Once you have 4 of the same, you head to one of the shrines and cash them in as an action. Once you have all 4 relics, you run to Fool's Landing as a team and fly off the island and win the game. Hey, and we're back. We just finished playing our 2 games of Forbidden Island, and what did you think?
So I thought it was pretty good. I thought it was fun. It was not what I was expecting. It was fun. I'll just put it that way.
Okay.
It was fun. I liked the theming of it. I thought it was cool, and it definitely borrowed from other pop culture. Like there was a skull rock thing that looked exactly like Pirate Cove and from Peter Pan and things like that. And I always like when they like kind of rip off, but not. But I enjoyed it. I thought it was fun. We played twice.
Yeah.
And I'll let you get into all that. But I liked it. It definitely a game I honestly would buy. It's easy. It's like probably took that 30 minutes to play. And that's all I have to really say
and
for
now. It took 2 minutes to explain.
Yeah,
like it's
super
incredibly easy. You can literally just be like, here, let me show you real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Do one action, and within that one action, someone gets it.
Yeah, definitely anybody can play.
Yeah,
anybody can definitely play it. I didn't like the character pieces, and I don't know if you want to get into that.
Like the powers themselves, or the little pawns.
Just the
okay.
like the little like my gray person.
Yeah, we'll talk about that because that's definitely something. We'll just kind of go over the rules, just real quick. The play style, just we might have a segment explaining in between. We'll see. We're still working on it.
There's going to be a rules segment before this.
Basically, it's 24 tiles on the table. So every time you play, it's going to be a different game experience. Mm-hmm. The first game we played, I thought was incredibly easy. I think we had good placement. So the point of the game is to collect these 4 relics. There's like an air temple, water temple. It's basically Avatar. Fire temple, rock temple. You have to collect cards. After each round, you take 2 cards. You need a collection of like 4 of the item that you want. And then you have to run to that tile to collect that item. So our first game, we got extremely lucky. I think the tile placements worked out. After each round, you flip cards, and one of the cards is called a water rise card. So that affects your island sinking. In the beginning, which we played on Novice, you're only flipping 2 of the cards to sink every turn. So if a tile flips twice, it's gone. So it's slowly, the island's disappearing.
And when you flip the tile, it's colorful on one side, and then when you flip it, it's a grayish. It's just like the same card, but just with a gray overtone, which is I thought was cool.
Yeah, it looks like it's underwater, kind of. Yeah.
Easily identifiable too.
Yeah, I thought that was nice. The components are good for this game.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're nice components. So and then once you get the 4 items, you literally have to run to this one part of the map called Fool's Landing with a helicopter card so you can get off the island.
We're like Indiana Jones.
Yeah, it gives you a very like race to the finish feel. And that's the thing with our second game. So our first game we got off very easy. I think that was the easiest game I've ever played. So immediately I'm like, we need to play again. Because I don't think you got the feel. I didn't see any anxiety from you as we did from the second game.
Yeah, I was like, let's up the ante. Let's go. We started on Novice. We go to Normal.
Yeah, which just kind of... So there's 5 ways to lose in this game, which I don't think I've explained even in the other rule settings, is if the island... There's 8 tiles on the map. 2... correspond with the item. So there's 2 like lion, the wind item, there's 2 water items, there's 2...
It's Earth, Wind, Water, and Fire.
Yeah, but there's 2 spots that you can possibly get them at. If 2 of like the water item spots completely go underwater, you lost. You can't get the items, get off the island. If you raise them, there's a tick marker. Like, how would you kind of explain?
Yeah, it's as you get the
water rise cards.
If you get the water rise card from the treasure pile, you have to raise the tick up one.
Tick up, yeah.
And there's like 3 ticks per card you have to draw.
Yeah.
So like 2 cards, and then there's 3, 4, and 5, which thank God we did not get to.
We never got there. And then there's the death. If you get all the way to the top, you just automatically lose. So you can mitigate the island as best you can, but if you're getting bad draws, you're donezo. You can't do anything. If you are on a tile that sinks and there's no land tiles next to you and you drown, essentially, you lose. And then the other way to lose is if the helicopter landing pad completely sinks, then you lose because you can't get off the island.
Yeah, the one interesting fact that I didn't grasp right away was that even if your tile sinks that you're on, it flips for the 3rd time. That as long as there's one tile near you, you can quote unquote swim to it.
Yeah.
Which I didn't realize because I was like, oh crap, I thought we lost. And so I actually like that, where it's not necessarily game over. It's just
you have a chance
as long as there's one right next to you.
Yeah, but so it's stressful because you want to keep those spots, and then even those spots that you feel aren't important. When that island disappears, the corresponding card that you're drawing disappears as well. So as these tiles are disappearing, your draw pile of the water, the island kind of flipping, is also disappearing. So even those spaces that you don't think are important, you're running to them. You still got to save them.
That's why I was so anxiety riddled the second game. I was like, when we got down to, so we started off with 24 and it was a big map, and then towards the end we got in our last piece and we're heading towards the end.
I think it was literally 4 tiles left.
It was 4 tiles left, and I'm like trying to think ahead, like, okay, well, we should flip. I definitely, the second game was more proactive and like, we should flip this one just in case, and I felt like we got a better feel for the game. But yeah, I was like, we need to go, like, let's go.
Yeah, the second game was definitely, I saw it. You were like, okay, all right. Like, as I was flipping cards, I could see you holding your breath. You're like, all right.
I was anxious, man. I literally was, and I think that's a good game. Especially, first game, first physical board game, not first time we played, that I have been like, oh crap, oh god, like, let's go, let's go.
And that's the benefit of a co-op game, where you do work together to play the game instead of us fighting to get the alternate to this game would be like, we're on the island, but whoever gets the most treasure and then gets off the island wins, which would be fun, but not as fun as working together. Working together, you're like you said, you're kind of like thinking ahead, like, all right, if Bryan goes here, I go here, we trade, we do this.
I enjoyed working together. I think this game would have stunk if we had to work against each other. But being able to work against each other being able to work with each other. It was an enjoyable game.
Yeah.
It was fun.
Yeah, this game, I mean, most of the games we're gonna play are gonna be 2-player probably.
Yeah.
Because it's just you and I. We will have guests on here and there, but this game works as a 2-player game. But it's a 4-player game. It's also great. It's chaotic. It's constantly flooding, constant movement. But I think 2 players is a sweet spot too. Like it is a good, cheap 2-player game.
I would be curious to see how it would play out with 4 people. I feel like it would be very chaotic, but probably a lot of fun. So yeah.
Yeah. So components. You were saying you like the little pawn pieces.
Is there anything else in the game that we should cover? We should talk about. Like I said, all the pictures, all the
the artwork's great. The art on the tiles are like beautiful. It's a beautiful looking game. It's striking on the table. Like if you're just playing out somewhere, people will be like, "What are you playing? Or what is this?" Because the grid of tiles themselves, it's not a board. It's like a very...
The best way I think would be described, if anybody's ever played like Code Names, is kind of how like the layout is.
Yeah, they're thick. They're not like cards. It's like a thicker cardboard like piece, and it just looks nice on the table. Like it just all the artwork, every tile is vibrant looking. It looks like a decrepit piece of island, but it looks like you said, there's a pirate cove, so it's a pirate skull. There's one, it's cliffs of abandon. It just looks like a real terrible looking, like
we kept calling it the cliffs of Abaddon.
I don't know why.
Aladdin for whatever reason.
It's literally every time I play this game.
And so when that card flips, you feel it because you see the color fade, and you're like, immediately, I'm like, oh crap. Like is this? If it's away from where we're at, I'm like not too worried about it. But I'm like, is this going to be a problem?
Yeah, it's definitely. I mean, the little movers.
So the reason why I brought that up is I found it very inconvenient when flipping tiles. Like it wasn't not like, oh my gosh, this is so inconvenient, but like it was just like it would be easier if these were a little bit bigger. I understand why they're small.
Yeah,
it's also a cheaper game.
Yeah.
But that's a real nitpick.
That's a very nitpick. I thought you would just say they're boring looking because I've seen there's people that like bling out their games. It's called blinging out your game is buying better pieces for your game or making your own. And I've seen people use Lego figures.
Oh, that's cool.
Like getting a Lego. There's different. That's another thing we didn't talk about. There's different roles you could play in this game. Everyone has like their own power.
Yeah, completely forgot about that.
So there's like a diver. A diver doesn't worry about drowning. They can swim through multiple spaces of water. There's the pilot who can move to any space in the island for one turn and then move. There's the engineer, which can flip over 2 tiles that are sinking. There's
per action, right?
Yeah, there's the messenger where you can trade or give somebody one of your cards that's anywhere on the map. There's another one that like moves diagonally, that can move diagonal and then flip diagonally, which is I think is it's kind of the most whatever one.
The Explorer?
Yeah, I think so. No, wait. Maybe the Explorer. Then there's the other one that I played where you can move other people 2 spaces, which I think is a good one. I think it's a good one for the first time playing. Yeah. Like somebody who knows the game.
So which 2 were you?
I played as... The second time I played the compass person, I can move you 2 spaces. The first time we played, I'm really blanking. I don't remember what my power was.
I guess it wasn't that good.
No, it wasn't. I remember utilizing it. I just don't remember what it was.
The first time we played, I was the pilot, which I liked that. I could go one action. I could move to any piece. And then the second time I was the messenger, where I could just give a player a card because that's what I ran into. My issue was I was trying to just give Bryan. I was trying to trade with Bryan each time, and I was nowhere near him. I had to be on the same tile as him. So there's definitely some, novice roadmaps for me. With the rules and trying to learn them and just trying my hardest to remember because I easily forget. But so what were the 6 things that we could have been?
Navigator, diver, messenger, explorer, engineer, and pilot. And I think I was the engineer the first time.
I think you were.
Yeah. And that's the person I could flip to. And I never utilized that power.
You never used that.
Yeah. I think we were... It was so easy. I don't even think we had to worry about it too much.
We weren't really worried about it.
It was a cakewalk, the first one.
So yeah, my nitpick is just that when like both of us were on the same tile, I felt like it was Just it's a weird
That
nitpick.
is a nitpick.
Yep.
Because it's literally you pick up the two pieces, flip the tie with the other
Yeah.
fingers, and then put them down
I
gently.
guess because I have big fingers, I
Yeah.
don't know. But see, that's how good of a game it
yeah,
was.
that's
It's a simple game that I didn't really find anything wrong with.
yeah.
I think it really does too, like play with your mind. I like games that kind of challenge you and make you think. You know, it's not like, oh my god, like I got to figure this out with a pen and paper. Like it's just like got to be kind of thinking one step ahead.
So the biggest problem with co-op games, though, is it's called quarterbacking. It's a term for a lot of co-op games where somebody who knows the game real well or is a very alpha personality will control the group. Okay. So I tried not to do that with you. There's a few times you made some actions where I was like, I wouldn't have done that. But I kept it to myself. And then there's a few times where I guided you a bit because you're on a team. So you do want to work together. And then there was times where you told me stuff to do. And I'm like, you know what? You're right. Because it would have been foolish. So that's the biggest problem with co-op games is a very strong personality. Be like, you should do this. That's a problem I have with my wife. I will admit. I do that with her. We'll be playing a co-op game, and I'm like, you shouldn't do that. Don't do that. Do this. Because she's a fool. I hope she doesn't listen. But
of course she's gonna listen.
Yeah, but yeah,
no,
she's a fool.
there's a line to walk. I mean, if we're playing amongst friends, after a while, that personality may be like, all right, just relax. But the way I play, you know, we've played a few games here and there. And I always like to know why. And I may not do it, but if you tell me why and why it's a good reason, it's a learning curve for sure.
But that's another testament to this game that's a negative. But we didn't have that problem.
Nope.
So the game component, play, price point, I think it's perfect. I think it's a good game that someone coming into the hobby should absolutely play and or buy because it's... And the replayability factor is amazing. That every time you play, you're putting tiles at different spots. You can never memorize or strategize enough ahead of time because you don't know what's coming.
Yeah, I liked it. I thought it was a cool first game to play. It was a good choice, and I enjoyed the excitement.
We enjoyed it.
We enjoyed it.
That's it.
That's fine. We'll drop the link in the show notes to buy it on Amazon.
Yeah, I mean, Amazon or your friendly local game shop.
Or your friendly local game shop.
Yeah.
Support local business.
Yeah. All right, so that's the end of our first game that we kind of talked about. We're just going to talk about some Kickstarter news. Because that's something I also wanted to kind of teach you about.
Yeah.
Because I brought over, along with Forbidden Island, Marvel United. And this is a game that you have been salivating over, have been begging me to tell you how it plays, to play it, and then I kind of explained, well, you wanted to know where to get it. That was the big thing. You were like, where do I get this game? Like, how do I get all these pieces? And then I said I backed it on Kickstarter, and you looked...
baffled.
Yeah, you're
so
like,
do you want to explain to everybody that, like, explain the game, explain how it started, how you got it, and
yeah. So, well, first Kickstarter, because like I said,
baffled.
So Kickstarter is a crowdfunding website that is you can crowdfund anything. I mean, you can make a lamp that turns blue and put it on Kickstarter, and then people like it. They give you money for it. And you send it to them, and that's it. Sometimes businesses start from there. It's a huge, like, board game device. It's huge. Like, big companies use it to pump out their games, to get hype for their games. And CMON, formerly known as Cool Mini or Not, teamed up with Spin Master and Marvel to make this Marvel United game. They were pushing hard for it. So CMON is a huge company already, so they didn't need to Kickstarter. I think it was just to get the hype and kind of get like, oh, like how many people actually want this game. So our mutual friend Preston, actually, I think is the one who turned me onto it. He's like, hey, look at this game. Like, it looks cool. It's right up your alley. IP, Marvel. They're like chibi style characters, which isn't like how, like, I don't know how to explain like chibi. Like, it's just very big headed, tiny bodied, like cartoon character looking pieces and artwork. And I was like, oh, like that's cool. It looks neat. Like, I like that. And this was, I want to say, last December. So I just got married. And I don't think we were pregnant yet. So I had a little bit of money to burn. And I was like, all right, let me look at this Kickstarter. It's a game I think I'd be interested in. And the initial buy-in was like $20 or something for the game, the base game. So the way Kickstarter works is they lure you in. They give you the gateway, basically. They're like, all right, here's the game, but look at all this cool stuff. And they do like tiers of, if we get this amount, we're going to throw this in. If we get this amount, and the amount just keeps going up and up and up. So how they did this one was multiple character figures. So if you back this game and it made X amount of money, they would throw in this many characters. By the end of it, I think there's 80 characters.
Holy
like 80
cow.
miniatures, 80 cards that go with them of characters you could play as. A lot of the characters I didn't care about. So I was still on the fence. I was like, I don't know if I want to back this. My wife will kill me if she finds out how much I backed this for. I don't know if I want to do it. Preston texts me. Hey, Brian, don't look at that Kickstarter anymore. And I went, oh no. I know exactly what this is. Log on, little baby chibi Mysterio. So Mysterio is my number one Marvel villain. Instantly backed it. Backed the base game, backed the Sinister Six expansion. It comes with like 3 other expansions. There was like a playmat that I didn't back. There was all kinds of things. Immediately regretted my decision. So a couple weeks later, I think my wife's like, hey, we got pregnant. And I'm like, oh no. I just spent a bunch of money. Like, what am I doing? Kind of forgot about it. Like, you don't, because it's like a year away, you don't think about it. You're like, all right. And every once in a while they email you and I'm like, oh yeah, back that thing. It came in the mail 3 weeks ago. Giant box. Immediately was happy with my decision to back this game. You saw, like, it's amazing.
So I saw it's on our Instagram. It's the first picture, and I was like, "This is cool." I was like, "Have you played it yet?" You know, and then he starts just sending me all these figures, and then starts telling me about all the expansions that came with it. And do you want to tell them some of the expansion packs that came with and what you did and didn't
I think
option
we'll
for?
save that
You wanna
because
save
I
that?
definitely want to do an episode talking about it
Yeah.
because I definitely want to play with you. But it's just like
So I have been just salivating at the mouth because I want this game.
but it was
And-
done. The Kickstarter was done. So that's the one thing about Kickstarter is they'll exclusive. So if you didn't back it, they're not doing it again. So that was the big thing. That's not the big thing about Kickstarter. So the reason I'm bringing this up is because if you go on Kickstarter right now, there is the X-Men United game.
Yes.
And we are cracking out.
So I am not, like I said before, I am not a solo player. This is a game that with the launch of the new Kickstarter for the X-Men, you can buy back in and get everything from the first Kickstarter for $200.
Mm-hmm.
And I added that to my cart. I was just like, I'm not going to play it.
Nope.
I don't play solo. I think it's it's because it's
You
Marvel.
just want the figures.
It's
you
Marvel.
want the toys.
And the figures, the interesting thing about the figures, they're not painted. So they're just blue. But they're really detailed in this, whatever phrase you use.
Yeah, I mean, go to our Instagram, Chibi. Yeah,
Chibi?
go on our
Kim-
Instagram. We have
Kimchi.
pictures. Go on Instagram and just hashtag Marvel United. And, like, the figures are cool looking. Like,
They are.
Ant-Man is, like, on a little quarter. Like, it looks like he's tiny. Like, I think Wasp is on, like, a die. Like,
But there was a bunch of, like, I'm a very big, aside from the Avengers and, like, the standard heroes, there was a cool Guardians expansion.
yeah,
That I was like,
there's something for everybody.
yeah,
There
exactly.
really is. And then even the X-Men now, our friend Preston he's jonesing for a Deadpool. Like,
which
there's
they teased.
yeah, there's
I saw on a comment they teased.
I mean, they
Deadpool.
put the old X-Men. There's X-Men that I barely care about or know about, but again, like, you just want it.
It's just the
You
need.
want it.
That's part of this whole gaming universe.
It really is.
You just want to get this stuff because they're cool figures, they're cool games, and who knows, if I were to get it, I probably would make myself play all the time because of how much of a buy-in is.
It would stay on your shelf in the plastic. If you're a gamer and you're listening, you have games on your shelf that you have not touched. Everyone has them if you're a gamer.
Yeah, and so this is one of the ones that I have just been like, should I? And I'm choosing not to. And I'm
Yeah,
just
'cause
gonna use
I'll-
my friend
I'll have it.
Brian's board game to play. And
And to Megan, I am not ordering it either. Don't worry. It's that box that says X-Men United on the side that of a year from now is not. It's something else.
don't worry. Yeah, don't worry about it.
Yeah, it was a promotional copy they sent us. It was free.
It was free for the podcast.
Yes.
There was I did hear of Kickstarter before because there was a Ninja Turtles game
Oh yeah, that's
that
right.
was on Kickstarter
That's
that I
right.
actually almost backed, and that 100% would have just sat on my shelf for sure.
Our little group I had at the time were gonna go in on it, but it was like the same thing. It was like over $100, and it's just like it wasn't a regular game group where we were like, yeah, we'll do this every week. It was like willy nilly. So I'm like,
Right.
I'm not jumping on this. And now that you could probably buy that game on eBay for like quadruple the amount, because that's how it works.
Yep.
Like.
Yep, that's just the way it goes.
Yeah, like I could easily sell these figures that I have.
Oh,
like Neil placed, like be like, hey, here's
Yeah,
Punisher, Daredevil, and like characters I won't care about.
When I was kind of interested, I was like, let me see if I can find this, and it was like somebody had it for like $400.
Yeah, that's another thing. People buy multiple copies.
But
and
you
just
can
flip
get
'em.
the standard game in Target,
Walmart, I believe. Yeah,
Walmart, Target.
But
so,
a lot of these expansions, I think they announced, will not be in stores. So if you're listening as of April 2021, the Kickstarter's still live. And this is your chance.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah.
This episode will be out soon. That's from the 20th, and be
Yeah.
on the lookout for it. When's the Kickstarter close? The end of May?
I think so.
Yeah.
A couple weeks. So.
But this will probably be a little segment we do. Any type of Kickstarter games that we see, or
some Kickstarter bombs.
Yeah.
Because that's the other thing. It's just people with a dream that there's some bad Kickstarters out there that I think
you'll probably see. We'll eventually have a game on Kickstarters.
Yeah, the Gateway
the
Gamer.
Gateway Gamer starter kit or something like that.
We just steal ideas from every game we play and Frankenstein them into one game.
Bunch of Marvel figures with flipping tiles and different. I don't know.
Cards Against Humanity.
Yeah,
exactly. We'll just reskin Cards Against Humanity. All right, so instead of just kind of bouncing out, I figured we would just kind of play a game, maybe.
Yeah.
And also kind of help the listeners maybe get to know us a little better as we argue about Super Fight. Super Fight is a card game. Funnily enough, pretty much a ripoff of Cards Against Humanity in a way, where you draw white cards, which are people or places, or not, I want to be places, but it's like people or animals or things. There's a million expansions out for it. It's fun. I enjoy it. It's a good debate game, like if you're drinking around a table with your friends. So we decided, yeah, why not? Let's utilize it. We got the cards, we got the time, we got microphones, hopefully there's ears. Well, let's do it. So today we drew a cowboy who can control plants and can fly but only 2 feet above the ground versus a redneck who controls a tween army but is 6 inches tall. So the point of the game is we have to argue basically who would win this fight. So I'm going to let you start. What do you think?
So I am with the cowboy, the 6-inch cowboy who
Nope. 6-inch redneck.
6-inch redneck who can control a mob of tweens.
Tween. So what's a tween?
Somebody that's like 12, 13.
Okay, so
It's a young
a
person.
child.
But these young children are crazy.
Okay.
And
It is an army. So what, like an
you
army.
see
what do you-
Marilyn Manson, he had a huge following. It was Marilyn Manson, right?
Marilyn Manson?
Yeah,
Yeah.
one of the Mansons.
Charlie
Manson.
Whoa.
One of the Mansons. I don't know, whatever. Once upon a
The
time in
singer
Hollywood.
or
The
the
cult
murderer?
guy, the murderer. He had a bunch of young people following him.
He did, and it wasn't even an army. It was just a bunch of nuts. All right, and then I'm going with the cowboy
All right,
because you can control plants. So I'd imagine,
like poison ivy.
yeah. So a bunch of tweens run across the grass. Grass grabs them.
Yeah, but I think those 2 feet up by 6-inch redneck can probably jump the extra
I could
18
I
inches.
could throw a leaf at you.
I don't
You
know.
would fall
So
over.
since I'm smaller, do I have any like Ant-Man powers where like I have the power of an ant?
No, you
I'm
have an
just
army
just
of
the army.
twins.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'd probably get stepped on by the
By
twins.
your own army, yeah.
Yeah.
So you're.
I am
You want to
screwed.
retake?
No,
Huh?
I'm sticking
Sticking
with
with
it.
it?
I'm sticking with it. This redneck, the 6-inch redneck that controls them. You can do. Look at Twitter. There's a bunch of tweens on Twitter or TikTok. You can change people's
True.
minds very easily, and these tweens are probably all over TikTok, and they're just saying attack this 2-inch
I'm float. I'm not
float,
into
the 2 feet flying cowboy who
And I got guns. I'm a cowboy.
he's got
Come
guns. Who's controlling plants? We'll just burn all the plants.
on. I still got guns and a cool hat
Well, you know what?
and a horse probably because I'm a cowboy.
Words are like bullets too. And
Sure, with your army of tweens, you could cancel.
I could
this
cancel
cast.
culture, man. To cancel the flying cowboy with the plants.
There
Let
you
me hear
go.
your argument.
I mean, I can control plants. I mean, that's it. Like the flying doesn't even factor in. It's like, what am I doing with
Well, you're 2 feet off
with
the
my
ground.
2
What are you
feet off
doing?
the ground? Like
What are you doing?
I can't even get away.
I guess if there's a little bit of flood water, like you're fine.
I guess I
Just
don't know.
a little bit?
Yeah, I could just fly barely up to a tree and climb it, but I could just use the tree to grab me. So I'm going. I don't plants.
That's true. You
I'm
could
going
use.
with plants. So I put the poll up this morning
Mhm.
just to kind of give like a little taste. I put it on our Instagram, Gateway Gamers Pod. I'll put it up again after this releases just to kind of
Regauge.
yeah, if you're listening, jump on. As of now, the Flying Plant Cowboy is 63% to
Wow.
37%
I'm in the minority. I'll
out
take it.
of 15 people
All right.
voting.
Okay. So if I'm 30% of 15,
You're losing.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm
Losing.
not doing
That's
too
what it's
well.
called.
Yep.
You're losing.
5 people. Whatever. That's the start of my army.
Yep,
Let's
there
go.
you go. All right.
I'm curious to see what you guys have to say.
Yeah.
So when he runs this poll again.
Yeah,
just put it
definitely
there.
give the Instagram podcast page a follow. We'll link it so you can. We'll be starting Facebook. I am going to figure out a board game geek guild because even that's new to me. I don't navigate board game geek. We'll talk about that maybe next episode because that's a whole nother monster and a whole nother universe. But yeah, give those a follow. Anything we talk about, we'll kind of post there. We'll maybe post a link to the Kickstarter we talked about because why not?
Why not?
Yeah. But I think that's the end of episode 1. I think if anyone's still listening, if anyone listened at all, thank you for being here. We had fun for sure.
Yeah, this was fun. It was good. I think it's the start of something good.
Yeah, I mean, rate, comment, subscribe, follow, whatever, all those things that you do, no matter where you listen. Comment if I did something wrong, like rules-wise, because I guaranteed I got rules wrong, because I notoriously am a terrible rule person. Comment, but give us 5 stars.
Yeah, give us 5 stars.
Trash us. Just give
Once
us
this
5 stars.
exactly. Once this podcast launches on your favorite podcast network, leave us 5 stars, and it helps us out. And we really want to hear what you guys have to say.
Yeah.
So
We want to build and grow and have fun and bring new people to hobby. That's it. I mean, I got one. He's already talking about backing like a $200 game, so he's already in.
all right. All right. I guess it's the end of episode 1.
Yeah. Thanks for listening.
See ya.